All right, awesome. Thanks for joining, guys. This is the catch up we're trying to organise a couple of times a year, just where we get a chance to sort of talk about what we've been working on, anything new that's come from Ontraport over the last sort of 6 months, and then any sort of questions or things that you guys want to discuss. So before I jump into some of the things that we have on our list, is there any burning questions or topics that any of you guys want to address with us or want to make sure we get to? Looks fine.
No.
All right, cool. All right, how about so the three things that have been released by Ontraport recently that we thought we would mention, some of these have been mentioned before, but we thought we'd revisit. The first was the roll-up fields. Who wants to talk about that? Beck, Frank, Jello? Beck.
Put my hand up for that one.
He's done all the heavy lifting on that one. So roll-up field, new field type, introduced earlier this year, which is very fun.
Yeah.
Take it away.
The idea behind roll-up fields is that you can bring up data from lower levels to upper levels, which essentially means that, you know, if you have students inside Ontraport and they are all connected to programs that they're going on and the host organizations that, you know, they're going to, etc., you can automatically calculate things, you know, do balances. You can, for NCP projects, you can, you know, put data up into like the parent kind of areas, and I'll show that as well. And this is really cool, honestly, because we kind of been hacking around this for a long time. With Alison. Hey, Alison.
Hi, Alison.
Yeah, like we've been hacking around balances and things for a long time, and it worked, you know, and it certainly did the job. But this just makes all of our lives a lot easier, and it makes the experience a lot smoother as well. So I'll show 2 examples. The first one being applying it to New Colombo Plan. So New South Wales are getting this. Sorry, they already have this now as of yesterday, which is super cool. And Curtin as well. You guys are getting this as well. But when you come in now into your master kind of project area, we automatically have all of these fields calculating from the cohort level. So, you know, you have your master project, but then you might have a couple of cohorts running over a period of time for that project. And you want to have like your top level balance overview. And this now allows you to do that. You know, I'm pulling all of this data automatically from the cohort level up to the parent project, which is really awesome.
Can I give a use case there, Beck?
Yep.
So NCP guidelines this year, of course, changed so that with the admin funding, if a student doesn't participate, you've got to return that admin funding. You can't spend that admin funding for the student. So keeping track of that admin funding is a real headache. So with these roll-up fields, what we can do is we can automatically add up, obviously, how many students are participating, how much money has been spent, and how much is left. So you've got, you know, instant visibility over unexpended money or money that's potentially at risk that you have to return. So you don't spend it because it's potentially at risk of having to be returned.
Yeah. And then as well, I was just working on this earlier for a different project that I'm working on, but at the organization level, so you have all of your partner universities, and obviously you want to, oh look, it's already here, it balances. It's already come in for me here. But basically, yeah, having your balance. So if you're in a position where you have inbound students and outbound students all in Ontraport, we can automatically now calculate the inbound and outbound numbers, and then having that automatically populate inside of the organization. Again, like we were able to do this before, but it was really hacked together. And now you can even specify, so for these particular fields here, I've specified that the student has to be going in 2023, and that they are not withdrawn, not rejected, not program incomplete. So we have that level of customization that's automatically happening in here. Like we don't need to, like before, we had all these other ways of doing it, and it got a bit messy when we had students withdrawing and things. But now it's all just seamless, and it allows us to have a much better user experience, which is lovely. So we can have full balances and everything nice and organized inside of Ontraport now as well, which is awesome.
Can I give another example?
Go for it.
I'm going to grab the screen.
Yeah, I'll boot myself out. Here we go.
So here's one from Swinburne. So Stu wanted to improve reporting. We know that reporting is a headache. And so he wanted us to build something where we could look at how many live applications there are for particular faculties, for example, at different statuses and all that sort of stuff. So you can see he now has a report that basically gives him everything he needs to know all in one place without having to dig into different records. What we can potentially do with this downstream is then actually push this data out, like just push these numbers out into a visualization software. So if you're using Business Objects or Google Data Studio or anything like that, we can get this data out really easy for your visual reports, which is really nice. So that's inside an actual program, but then we can also pull that data out onto into your list view, which is good. All right, any questions on that? Any hands up? We know some of you have seen that already. Triggering messages from child objects. This is such a happy one. Who wants to chat about that?
Are we moving on from the roll-up thing now?
Yes, if you'd like to, unless you got questions.
Yeah, no, I just had a question. If you could show what the NCP projects look like on a project level. Yeah. Because like I'd love to see the snapshot of we've got $33,000 worth of funding. Each student's getting $3,000. This is how many grants have been taken up. This is how many are available. This is the admin funding that we were allowed to keep half of, and this is what we have to return. Blah, blah, blah.
I'll share my screen again for you, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wrong thing. So this is our sandbox account, which is going to look a little bit different to how it actually reflects, of course, for every individual use case. So we have our NCP. So first of all, we've got 4 things kind of going on here. We've got master projects, we've got your cohorts, and variations. In our sandbox, we also have student experiences, but in real life, that's usually connected to short-term and exchange. So you probably wouldn't need that. And then what we have here, so your NCP master projects, this is your top level, right? So, and this is also in terms of the project application. So for UNSW, we have the academics actually applying with their interest to run a new project into Ontraport, which then creates this top level kind of thing. And we're collecting a whole bunch of information here, all about where are you going, what are you applying for, all that type of stuff. From there, if it then becomes a funded project, if they are successful, then a lot of this other information is filled in, faculties and qualifications and field of study. A lot of these are matched to what you see in Isio. So if you need to pull or push data in and out of Isio, this kind of allows you to do it with the least amount of headaches possible. Then we have our top level balances, which is coming up from your cohorts, which I showed earlier, and just some additional stuff. A level down from that, then you have your cohorts, which are the actual, running of the project, right? So you've got all of your individual projects here. So you've got project name, funding types, primary contacts, statuses, dates, funding. So how much funding was allocated to this particular cohort, how much of that is being used.
So a cohort is a project. So and each one Isio number is is in the project level, but it's also in a cohort level. And
yeah, yeah. If you think about it as like your master project is like your catalog of all of the different projects that you're running, including the applications for those, and then your cohorts are the actual, group of students that are going on it,
which may include non-NCP students.
These are for NCP. So yeah, these ones are NCP. UNSW do have non-funded students going on NCP projects sometimes.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of those.
Yeah, so so you can do this for them as well. So this is like your actual running of the project itself. And UNSW, for example, sorry, I'm using UNSW as like the main example here, but Curtin are going to be doing it as well, where you've got like, this is like your actual running of the project, and we're actually telling the academic what they need to do every step of the way. So this is like, reminding them of certain things that they need to do along the way. Have they nominated all their students? Have they requested administration funding? And so through this object, we have a series of automations that run to remind them of that.
Yep.
Yep. And then you've got your student side of things. So I guess that for you guys, Sarah, it would probably be plugging it into short term.
That's right. And you just have a field that's saying like NCP funded, yes, no, and then using that.
You guys already have, actually. I think you guys already differentiate like NCP funding.
We started to look at this kind of stuff, and then we haven't gone any further.
Yeah.
So for an ISIO number, one NCP project, when you pull it up, presumably in a cohort, do you see a list of students, or will you see a list of students that are going on it?
You will. This is the sandbox. I'm just trying to remember which one I have students connected to.
So imagine, like, if you can imagine, like, a project, if all goes well, one project may only have one cohort. But then the moment you have to have multiple cohorts across different years or variations or everything, then you start to have multiple cohorts.
Yeah,
so we've created this to deal with that complexity of the sort of variations and the like.
Yeah, that's really cool.
The idea then, as well, is that then inside of the student object, so here we have like a short-term student, right? That student is then connected through to the NCP project cohort that they're going on as well. So, and you can do a lot with that. You can do reporting, you can, remind them of upcoming dates relating to their project, a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. I don't want to hijack anything, but that looks really good.
This is what this is here for. If I can just grab it real quick, Beck, what I'm going to do is just show like what the front interface of that looks like for example, a project leader.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is to, use dashboards where we can to, and this is for UNSW at the moment. So this is part of our scale package.
Yeah.
But this is where you can have an interface just for your project leaders. So they can actually see the projects that they have funded. They can click in and see all of the details, submit new applications, right inside here. So this is all digital. So this portal stuff is really great because this kind of gets rid of all those questions, the recurring questions about where things are up to. We can embed things like checklists in here so you can see exactly where a project is up to and what is outstanding. So the risk management planning, the SIA and child protection stuff that needs to be ticked off, all of that, we can just have tick boxes and steps in here to show where those things are up to, and all of that data basically just feeding straight out of the system onto a page.
You don't necessarily need to show me, but have you automated or made a form for the risk management side of things for ISIO reporting?
We've got something in our sandbox which we built. Have we got one of those out in the wild, Beck?
We've got
your spreadsheet actually, Sarah. I think I've got the UniSA risk spreadsheet that we need to look through to see if we can do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, that's fine. I just, our risk management documentation, like everyone's, I guess, is like 1 million pages long. And then that was the feedback we got from our project leaders, is that's the biggest headache, which it is for us as well. So
yeah, and I don't know what systems you guys are using for risk management, but I've just done a review of audit readiness for a university, NCP audit readiness. And yeah, like looking under the hood of Risk Aware as one of the actual risk management tools, I'm like, oh my God, it's like a tool from the 1990s, which is just horrendous, completely inflexible and everything. So yeah.
Yeah,
We've
we've done SIA for
that's
Charles
Sturt, no?
Charles
Yeah, we
has,
just created that unit as an Entreport embedded one.
yeah, and I know Al from Swinburne was interested in that as well. But yeah, like, so we do have the ability to have that kind of stuff in Entreport. It's just figuring out how to structure that and how you want that to be delivered, and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah.
So since we're on that, the next one on our list, on our list was to talk about upload fields. Just this is basically just a reminder to you guys that it's there. So thinking about NCP when you're doing completion reports and they ask you to submit collateral, so photos or reports or anything like that, those upload fields are perfect for that kind of use case. So whether you want to upload photos that are attached then to a project or a program, same thing with any reporting or anything like that. So those upload fields, we just wanted to highlight as being available to everybody and being very useful.
And that's on the project leaders facing dashboard. That's where they can upload it. Is that what you're talking about?
In that case, yeah, we can put those. You can put those upload fields on forms. So whether that's for a study tool leader that needs to upload documentation, or whether it's for a student that needs to upload, I was going to say passport copy, but we don't like to collect passport copies unless we absolutely have to. But needs to upload, I don't know, whatever it is, proof of something or other.
Insurance documents, so like
insurance,
and they need to upload proof of insurance as part of their application situation. Like you just have the form there and they just upload it. So we can do that one too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just highlight again.
Is that hard to do? Just because we get students to email things to us and then we upload manually.
So easy, honestly. Yeah.
Actually,
Curtin is using that one right now when it comes to their inbound application. So in the form, they've just placed their students can upload their transcripts, their passports, all of the related documents that they need to upload instead of emailing it to them.
And then I'm guessing as soon as they upload, you guys get we get a notification saying this has been uploaded, and then you can review it. If it's like a picture of a cat or something, and you're like, oh no, that's the wrong thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So we can do that either just by putting them into a group, or by sending a fulfillment list.
Yeah.
And then also the great thing is upload fields can trigger automation as well. So if a student hasn't uploaded a document, you can run automation to remind them. Or if they had and you need to triage that document off to somebody else to have a look at, you can do that too. You can use that and embed that, send a link to that document in a task to someone to complete. So if it's a study plan, if you're still doing like the manual study plan thing and that needs to be sent, you can have a student upload that and that can get sent to the right person.
Something I just quickly wanted to mention too, because we glossed over it, but we now do have the ability to run automations based on other area dates in Entreport. So to clarify what that means, like if you have a student and you've got them connected to a project or a program and there's a start date in that program, we never could run anything based on that, right? Like we couldn't look up into the program and say, oh yeah, it's running on January 2nd, run automation based on that. We used to have to copy and paste data and it was a total pain. But now we can. So now we can have all the dates set in like organizations and in programs and things like that. And we can run automation based on those. Swinburne aren't here, I don't think, but that was a big thing for them. So we'll follow up with them separately about that. But yeah, that's a really good one as well. That's been released in like the last month or so.
Yeah, so it saves that issue of having to have a program start date inside a student record, for example. I'm just thinking, Anna, for example, your inbound students, where we might need to put their inbound start date into their student record so that they get particular nurture emails at the right time. we don't need to do that anymore, because if that student is attached to an intake, so an inbound intake, term 1, and that inbound intake has a date in it, we can then send appropriate messaging at the right time to those child records, so to those students who are attached to the main record. So just another reason why we love Ontraport. They're always moving forward and making things easier. So this is just another really handy one in our arsenal. All right. Next. Oh, sorry. Any questions on that before we move on? I've got my blues singer's voice on today. Okay. Jello, Frank, we were going to get you guys just to talk about some of the cool stuff that we've been creating in different accounts. Just a sort of sharing exercise. Jello, you want to go first? I saw you turning on your mic.
Yep, sure. Can you hear me, guys? Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Yep. So I mainly handle Swinburne and UNSW. So I will discuss some of the highlights we have this year. So for Swinburne, the last project build we had, I believe this is also present on all the accounts, which is a student help desk. We utilize the effectivity of this because we get to speak to the students directly if they're having technical issues. So it is attached on every form and links that we have inside OnReport. So I can say that we are having a high rate of solving the student issues there because we get to speak to them directly. So it also saves time for you guys to handle those. So yeah, and then for the current one that we have for Swinburne is the placement build. So the placement automation is currently built inside together with the internships, and we are currently automating communications and approvals for that. So right now it's still on the building stage, but yeah, it will be done soon once we have received all the emails from Swinburne. And the next in line that we will build for them is the inbound exchange. But yeah, we don't have specific details for that yet, but yeah, that's next project for next year. And for UNSW, the last project built we had is the virtual exchange portal, which is a very great portal because students can see there on what's their progress or status in their study experience. So this also saves time for staffs to because they don't need to check everything in paper. All of it is inside that portal. So if any students miss or um, already have the document, it is all recorded in there. And also in the portal there is instructions on how the students can submit the form or instructions on how to progress with the requirements. So yeah, currently we're also building a portal for the short term and NCP. So it's basically the same as the virtual exchange. It is just hosted in a different object. So yeah, it will just work the same. And the coolest stuff that we're building at the moment is the scholarship build, in which
That is cool.
So Emma's just like nodding up the top. She's like, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it's an automatic eligibility criteria checking automation. So, for example, there's a list of 10 scholarships that is possible for a student to be eligible. Then, in just one click, we can automate all the eligibility criteria for that student, and then send the results. So, UNSW staff to grant the student on whatever the scholarship is. So, yeah. And then next in line, of course, is the file uploader that Beck and Rob mentioned earlier, as well, and also the program pages that we have. So basically, the program pages is a list of programs on where students can visit it and then apply for a specific program in that one page. So, yep. That's all for me.
I have a question. I have two questions actually.
Yeah, yeah.
The UNSW scholarship auto eligibility criteria checking. How the heck does that work? So that's my first
Good
question. I'm sure.
question, Sarah.
Yeah. So that's gonna. I'm guessing that's gonna be a long answer. So I'm just gonna jump to my second question first, and then you can come back to that one. The Swinburne, Jelly, you said that you guys deal with students directly. Like, what sort of inquiries are you guys getting from students? That, like, is that like automated type questions or?
So basically we host it inside our Asana. So when students submit a form
It's
for
tech
that
support
one,
stuff.
it goes inside our Asana, which assigns us a task for that. So in there, students upload what their problem, what's a screenshot of their issue, and then by then since we have their email address on that task, then we can email them directly. So it saves time for you staffs to solve it, because since it's a entrepreneur technical issue, we have we help solve the problem to, like, students not communicating to you first before, and then you guys will be sending it to us. So yeah.
Yeah, it's
Is this
basically like, yeah, like if your student's doing a form and they have an issue with it, you know, like they can't select a field, or if they tried uploading a document and it didn't work, or
Yeah.
try to go to a particular page and the URL didn't function properly, whatever it might be, they can just click a button and they report it directly to us instead. So instead of you guys being stuck in the middle of like us asking you questions and you asking the student and waiting, and it just eliminates that whole situation, and we just go straight to the student and get it solved without you guys having to worry about it. So
All right. And then, yeah, for your first question, Sarah, so I will not discuss about the technical side of it, but the context is, for example,
No,
there's
we should point out what's possible, Jelly. Can we log into that account? Beck, do you want to just pull that up and just show it? Is it
yeah,
ready?
we're still working on it. So
Work in progress is fine though.
work in progress. Give me a second.
It's because it's a really interesting use case in just what's possible in terms of using automation. But Jelly, while Beck's pulling that, do you want to describe briefly the concept behind how it works?
yeah. So the concept is, for example, there's a list of scholarships. So for example, a USW staff will upload a student in Entreport, and then they can insert that student inside the automation of the eligibility checker. So that checks all the eligible criteria for that student. So one example is if the student is an Australian citizen, or if they have permanent residence here. So since every scholarship has its own requirements, then as you can see in Beck's screen there, it has all the criteria checking automations, which has a specific scholarship for each. So yeah, so they have different
Yeah,
check-
so this
yeah,
one,
but
for example, it's like the
yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this. The arts and social sciences. So we're checking to make sure that their faculty is arts and social sciences. If they are not, then we boot them out because they're not relevant. Then we click to see, are they going to Singapore, Malaysia, or Thailand? If they are, fantastic. And have they received a previous grant? And if they haven't, then they're eligible. So we're updating that particular scholarship status to eligible. And then UNSW would then get notified of that and you know, pay them and do whatever they need to do. But this basically just takes all of the initial eligibility checking and making that as automated as physically possible.
Yeah, so there's cascading conditions, and of course you can then run this across multiple grant types. So if you want to assess eligibility for one particular scholarship before all else, you can do that first, and then if those students that get one are then not eligible for anything else, essentially you can eliminate them from being filtered and considered for other grants.
Yeah.
So it's a really nice, it's quite a sophisticated build. It's quite detailed, but yeah,
And that's what
Right.
I've done. That's what we've done here, Rob, is like we've got the initial filtering campaign. And the idea behind that is like this will handle adding all of the students one by one. Because Anna, for example, wanted to assess the students from the highest value first down to the lowest value. So we've added, well, this isn't finished yet, obviously, but it will check them for the highest value first. And then if that then means that, say, for example, if they're eligible for the equity scholarship and that then makes them not eligible for anything else, then we can add, specific things in here that, just make them eligible for that and then won't assess them for anything else. Same thing, like if they're eligible for alumni, which then means that they can't get something else, we can add extra conditions and things in here to make that happen. So work in progress, but it's good fun to work through for sure.
Good. Any other questions or comments before we hand over to Frank to present? Oh, the one thing I wanted to point out was around the placements stuff that we've been working on with Swinburne. We have been asked about work integrated learning from a number of institutions, and that's totally possible to manage. I mean, the principles are fairly similar in that you've got an organization, you've got a student having an experience, so we can build those sort of workflows as well. Whether that's like a domestic or international experience. All right, Frank.
Yep. Hi guys. So I actually handle Curtin and Eunice South Australia. So for Eunice A, I actually just finished. We're almost finished with the extension campaigns automation. So it's a really monstrous automation. So it requires a lot of brain cells. So we're actually finishing and almost putting it to bed. So Sarah, I already sent you an email about the changes that I made just earlier today. So
That's why I was
just
late to this meeting. I was looking at that email. I was like, fuck the time.
s- so yeah, just a bit of context. When a student wants to extend their stay abroad, so they will be sent to another flow. And what's really unique about it is, all of the automations and emails or communications with the students that they don't require to do again, then they are tailored so that it would just straight to the relevant and updated communications. So that's one. And yeah, I think that's for UNSA. Then for Curtin, actually, I just recently um, completed the delegations and conferences. So it is actually interconnected with meetings. So if you have a meeting, then you can place it inside the conference. So if you have different conferences and also delegations, you can just put different meetings in there. So yeah.
Can we show that real quick? Can we pull that up?
Yep,
That's
sure.
very, very nice. It's one of those sort of sideways functionalities that pretty easy for us to implement, but I think is really valuable to have all of that stuff centralized.
We just pull up real quick. Mhm. On the screen. And this
Well,
is yeah, the build is currently done and it is currently being reviewed by Allison. So if we go to conferences, can you see my screen, guys?
Yep.
Yep, right.
Yeah.
Cool. So inside the conferences, so if you go to a conference, you can see all the information here, the conference name, the location. If you wanted to put the budget or the finances of the conference so that you can see the overview of the whole expense, you can put it also here. And also we have here the travel logistics. So if you want everything, all of the information of the conference, they're just sitting right here. So we also have here the attendees in conference. We can also put the contacts inside here. So I have here the front test here, and also the conference meeting. So we can put an existing or creating a new meeting like here. So for the delegations, which is also the same, we can also we have here the information here and the delegation organizations. So you can put all the organizations here and also the contacts inside that delegations, I mean organizations, and also the relevant meetings, right? And how it would look inside the meetings is something like this. We go to test 2018. So this is, for example, a meeting that you've set up or just an existing one. So you can also add the keynotes, action items, meeting documents, and also the related conferences and related delegations. So all good.
So those things all hook in together. So like even for example with the delegations, I'm aware that delegations can sit in various parts of an international operation, but this is really nice because if you have standard things that you want to provide to every delegation every time they come, now if you think about having that date field and being able to send a message to all of the people that are coming on a particular delegation based on the date when that delegation is taking place, so whether it's the day before or 5 days before, all of that can now be built out and automated, which is really powerful. So depending on where delegations, visits, and those things sit inside your organizations, we can do that for you too. Good one, Frank. Were there other things that you need to mention that you've been working on that have been fun?
I've got a lot of things lined up for Curtin actually. So we have here the inbound placements and the student portal. So these are currently scheduled for next year. So these are both massive tasks. So yep.
Okay, great. Thoughts, questions, comments? Signs of happiness. Next on my list was to talk about the third-party provider portal, which I've shown a couple of times. I've shown to various people, but I don't think this is quite the right meeting. I think I might just organise a custom meeting for this. So inside Learning Abroad Central, our industry resource, we've got a couple of items that are only going to be available to clients. So the third-party provider is the portal is the first of those initiatives. And the idea is that we start to curate the information about which institutions are working with other institutions, and then the various documentation about those providers. Oh, that's broken. There you go. It's what being under development will do. So essentially, I can't actually get in there, but I think I'm going to hold a separate meeting about this because we need to just decide exactly what details there we go. It's not working right now. What details you guys want to see inside that portal. So what details about a particular third-party provider you might want to know that would be helpful. So I'll schedule a meeting, and that way the relevant people can be there in January, and we'll get that thing wrapped up and shipped. The other thing that we're building in Learning Abroad Central that will also only be for clients is a program specifically for new staff members that could be full-time Learning Abroad staff members, could be student helpers. We've already got a bunch of resources in there that cover some of the basics, but here we're looking to develop like the full suite of what you need to know about working in Learning Abroad in Australia. So hopefully having that finished up by the middle of next year. And I'm going to be working on a well-known, but I've got to be anonymous right now, person in the industry who's going to be helping me out with that one for us to like create that course content. So quite excited about it. Last thing on our list was holidays. So we will be closing the Global Society office from the 22nd of December. And we're going to be reopening on the 30th of June next year. So we're going to be closed for 6 months, just taking a, sorry, no kidding. We'll be opening on the 2nd of January.
What?
Just seeing who's awake and who's asleep. You know, the problem with going traveling for 2 years during COVID was that like anything less than 6 months now feels like a short holiday. It's terrible. It's a terrible curse. Don't curse me for the rest of my life. No, so we're closed until 2nd of January. I think Frank's off. You're off from next week, the week after. You're off from the 15th. I'm off from about the 15th. But we're staggered anyway. So during that time, I know you folks will be on holidays as well. We do have an emergency process in place. So if you do need access or something does go wrong and you need us, then we're still going to be on call over that period. And we'll send that around in the next week or so. So you've got access to those details. That's all we really wanted to cover. But obviously happy to facilitate discussion or take questions and comments.
I guess from our point of view, Rob and the gang, we just want to thank you for, well, from a Curtin's perspective, for your patience with us over the last year. You know how crazy our team has been in the office. So, yeah, thank you very much. To our Super Frank as well, always on call and always happy to help. So, no, it's been fantastic. So, always a few ups and downs, but we get there in the end. So, it's fantastic. So, a big thanks to us.
Thank you. More than welcome. I'm glad, and you mentioned like the sort of like the learning and the training side of things. This still is on our list that we keeping on working on it. So essentially in our protocol as we're creating things in your account is that we're trying to increasingly write the processes, film the handover videos, and have that stuff actually sitting in your account in the processes section, so that that stuff, you know, isn't subject to corporate knowledge. It's literally sitting in your account explaining how to do certain things. So that's been in place for 6 months or so. So that'll continue to grow as a resource going forward. Also in Learning Abroad Central, we've got another set of training videos that we want to film around that. Jello gave me a list of things that I need to create content on. So that's on my list to do early in the new year. So we want to continue to build out that training resource so that it's really easy to use the platform.
Right.
Thank you, Alison. I'll accept that as a virtual chocolate. Thank you for the chocolate. Otherwise, we can set you guys free 45 minutes early.
Yay. Oh, so much to do, isn't there? Just
There it is.
at least it's 1st of December. We're on our countdown to our holidays.
Feels like holidays.
I'll take a week of holidays anytime.
Has anyone had their Christmas party yet? Or have we got Christmas parties coming up?
Yeah, we had ours in November because we had staff leaving and going away and stuff.
An unofficial one on Tuesday night.
Oh, good one. How do they do that at CSU?
They flew us all down to Sydney.
Oh, wow.
It was for 2 days of planning and workshops.
Brilliant. What a great idea.
Is anyone coming over to API? Perth?
Yet to be decided.
Yeah. Well, that's going to come around way too quick for us because, yeah, we're also planning things for that as well. So it'll be good to see those peeps that can come.
Fingers crossed. All right. Well, lovely to join, folks. I'm stopping this recording now. For those of you who've watched the recording, thank you for joining. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. See you in 2024.